Hello, hello. Good evening, everybody who is tuning in live or watching on YouTube later. This is the editing hangout, and I'm going to be working on our part 6 of our X card ranking video, which has been going on for a long time, and I've been neglecting getting it done, so we're going to be working on it tonight. That is the goal. So I'm going to put some music on, and we're going to chill, and if you want to touch base with me, see how I'm doing. I'm doing very well, by the way. Thank you very much. It has been a very good week so far. Let's get some music going on. Let's get some lo-fi. There we go.
Rough draw of her, there's just nothing you can really do. It will occasionally happen, but
Sure.
the positive occasionally happen, but
Sure.
the positive is far outweighed.
Yeah, and nothing's sure. Nothing's a sure thing in this game. Nothing's a sure thing. Nothing's. Yeah. Yeah, and nothing's sure.
Far outweighed.
Yeah, and nothing's sure. Nothing's a sure thing in this game.
I don't think I've had that experience or even seen it in a game where the Sayadina was leveraged as also as part of a powerful Bene Gesserit deck, because that's really cool actually. If you're generating points off the water agent action and then also playing a follow-up embedded embedded agent, or
I once had this.
and then also embedded agent, or
I once had this.
or
I once had the Sayadina Mahayim game.
wow.
Sayadina Mahayim. Mahayim game.
Wow.
It's kind of cruel.
Yeah,
Because then, not only you're taking all these cards away from people, and then they're just not able to block you from visiting steel suits and the siege because their actions are just so heavily limited. They feel compressed to do only one or two things sometimes, and it just lets you have run the board, and you just run away the game. Like it's in cards away from Mahayim game.
wow. Wow.
It's kind of
Wow.
it's kind of cruel.
Yeah.
Because then
Yeah.
because then not only you're taking all these cards away from people, and then they're just not able to block you from visiting still suits in the siege because their actions are just so heavily limited. They feel compressed to do only one or two things sometimes, and it just lets you have run the board, and you just run away the game. Like, it's incredibly rare to get it, but it is disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. This is going to happen to us again. We just went for almost a half hour, so
It is disgusting.
Yeah.
before we jump into firm grip, I'm going to drive my kid home and
Yeah.
firm grip.
All right. Yeah.
Firm grip.
All right. Tied with Sayadina is firm grip at the 7 and 8 position. So this one.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Firm grip.
All right. Tied with. All right. Tied with Sayadina is firm grip at the 7 and 8 position. So this one, yeah, we have a lot to say about this card. It's an oldie but goodie. It's an oldie but goodie.
Yeah, it's very good. Please ignore my ranking of this card. Like, I just ignore it. Forget it ever happened. This card should be ahead of Sayadina. I don't think it should be ahead of the next card on our list. I will say that much, but I think this realistically is probably ahead of it.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm sorry, everyone. Please forget.
It's okay. You got a small stroke. It's alright.
The music too loud. Maybe music is too loud. Too loud. There we go. Oh, I have to transition. There it is. There's the chat. Chat was not showing up. Sorry about that.
What's interesting is even where you ranked it, it probably is in the right spot.
Yep.
Anyway.
Probably, yeah. Realistically, like I'm a complete outlier. Like I still think.
Well, what's interesting is even where. Well, what's interesting is even where.
It's okay. You got a small stroke. It's okay. You got a small stroke. It's alright.
I don't think it should be ahead of the next card on our list. I will say that much, but I think this realistically is probably ahead of it. I'll let. That's so much to be. I'm sorry, everyone. Please forgive me.
It's okay. You got a small stroke. It's alright.
Well, what's interesting is even where you ranked it, it probably is in the right spot. Anyway.
Probably, yeah. Probably, yeah. Realistically, like I Probably, yeah. Realistically. Realistically, like I'm a complete outlier. Like I still think this is obviously a very, very good card, and does a lot for you. But it does have a couple of potential downsides. Is why I ranked it a little bit lower. It's not as maybe potentially egregious as another card, which is a hill I will die on. This is not one I will choose. But like, obviously this is an incredibly strong card, and it kind of like plays into itself is the idea. But I'll let you guys do it.
Well, I mean, for me, I put it the highest here at number 4. I keep talking about point generation. How many points? Like this point, every time you play this card on Wealth, it generates you a point. Basically, you're going up on the Emperor track and on one of the other tracks for the cost of the space. So and because it's an affordable card for cost, is it 4 or 3?
It's
3.
it's
4,
It's-
right?
it's
4,
It's-
right?
Four costs,
Yeah.
which
Is it 4 or 3?
it's
4,
It's-
right?
it's
4,
it's
right?
four costs.
Yeah.
it's
4,
It's
right?
four costs,
Yeah.
which is-
So it is something you can get within the first 2 turns reasonably. So you can no problem play this card 3, maybe even 4 times during the game. Like that's 4 points, you know, like potentially 4 points worth of action. Like I just can't think of that's besides our top 3. Cards, like for me, it's so much action compression.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. This card is basically a point every time you play it. It just costs you $2, 2 Solari. That's not hard to do. This card's value has gone up in my view with characters like Yuna, who can easily get more Solari and then use it for other areas. But if they really gone up in my view with characters like Yuna, who can easily get more Solari and then use it for other areas, but if they really wanted to. Though if you're doing that, you're probably doing it wrong. You should probably always go to like Conspire or Wealth. The one thing I will say about this card is you never, or very, very rarely, will reveal it for the 4 persuasion, even though you'll be going up the Emperor track. The biggest thing here is that it gets you in with the Spacing Guild by going to Wealth, which is insane. Like,
If you haven't already got
you haven't got there, and then you might as well have just and then you might as well have have just, you know, got 2 extra actions for what you did. It's pretty insane. You'll be going up the Emperor track. The biggest thing here is that it gets you in with the Spacing Guild by going to Wealth, which is insane. Like,
If you haven't, yeah, if you haven't already got,
you haven't got there, and then, you know, you might as well have just, you know, got 2 extra actions for what you did. It's pretty insane. This card, I feel, was in the base game broken.
Ah. Where did my images go? There.
Like, it is a card that I've never lost when I had it.
yeah. This base game was probably.
Hopefully everything's coming through okay.
I had this card. I've lost. With
Hey,
it,
Cheesable. What's up,
not by
buddy?
very much. It's a card that.
What time is it there for you? Morning?
Especially now when there's too many shiny things that you want to buy. We're talking about all these shiny cards that you want to put in your deck.
I am finally getting this done.
Every other turn or every turn. That's how you play it. This card gets better with characters like Paul.
I don't know if I agree with that anymore.
This card gets better with characters like Paul, who can draw cards a lot, Ilban.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It's never fun when your kid's sick.
Lido potentially as well. And
Insane.
Tax.
Yeah.
Is the music too loud? Is it okay?
Like Paul, who can draw cards a lot, Ilban. This is great for Ilban.
Lido potentially. As well. Lido potentially.
Lido.
Lido potentially as well. And Tax
Insane. Yeah.
as well. And
Insane.
Tax.
Yeah. Great for Ilban.
I'm never doing a video like this again.
And Tax.
Insane. Yeah.
This is one of the worst videos I've ever had to do. It's just taken so freaking long, and it takes so long to do these. When I started them, I didn't have a job, so I mean, I was between jobs, kind of. So that's why I could do them all. No, I'm like, I got a job, so.
Play it. This card gets better with characters like Paul, who can draw cards a lot. Ilban is
Ilban.
This is great for Ilban.
It's a small Ilban. Let's make Paul smaller.
Lido potentially. Lido. Potentially as well. And
It's-
Tax.
Whoop.
Insane. Yeah.
There we go.
I don't know. I just
Welcome
think it's-
everybody who's
it's
joining
a
us.
known
I'm-
commodity, I think.
You can see
And yeah, I don't underestimate
the
this card.
video 6 of our X rankings ahead of time.
Never take something.
And also chat with me about
This unless
games and
it's-
Dune if you want. Have you seen the new trailer? The new trailer just launched today of Dune 2. And I was thinking about taking a look at it with everybody, maybe about 9 o'clock. So at 9 o'clock my time, 10 minutes. So
we're talking about here. But I think this card honestly should be ranked higher than Sayadina. I think it's that good.
Yeah.
Even even though it's tied here at 7 or 8. I think
It's probably the bridge between like the S cards and like the absolute elite tier. It's probably the bridge between the two. The S cards
tied here at 7 or 8. I think
it's probably the
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This card is basically a point every time.
Music sounds a little loud on my end. There we go.
Time you play it, it just costs you $2. Two silver, 8. You easily get more sleep. But you're wrong, you should probably always get very, very rarely will reveal it for the 4 persuasion, even though you'll be going up the upper track. The biggest thing here is that it gets you in with the Spacing Guild by going to Wealth, which is insane. Like,
if you haven't already got
you haven't got there, and then this.
yeah. This is the way the game was. It was probably.
Yeah. I lost when I had it.
This is the way the game was. It was probably.
Yeah, I had this card. I've lost with it, but not by very, very much. It's a card that you want to keep a slim deck with. Especially now, there's too many shiny things that you want to buy. We're talking about all these shiny cards. There's a clip in your deck.
Lo-fi beats need to be turned down slightly. Here we go.
Gonna resist that. You want to draw firm grip
Figure this out.
every other turn or every turn. That's like how you play it. This card gets better with characters like Paul, who can draw cards a lot. Ilban, this is great for Ilban.
Lido potentially as well.
It's insane. Yeah.
There was an So you have to add that.
I don't know. I just think it's a known commodity. I think, or commodity. And yeah, I don't underestimate this card. This should be a high pick if it's in the row. You should never take something over this unless it is probably one of the next 3 or 4 cards that we're talking about here. But I think this card honestly should be ranked higher than something over this unless it is a commodity. I think, or I don't know. I just think it's a known commodity. I think this card honestly should be ranked higher than Sayadina. I think it's that good.
Yeah.
It's that good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Even though it's tied here at 7 or 8, I think
It's probably. It's probably the bridge between like the S card.
A 7 or 8. I think
It's probably the bridge between like the S cards and like the absolute elite tier. It's probably the bridge between the two.
That's a really good point. I think you're right. I think you want to get the 1 point with it and then just reveal with it, because getting a point with it or revealing with it is pretty much the same thing, right? Unless you can also get a Spice Must Flow and do that. if you can do that, then you should definitely play Sayadina. But it's harder to do that, right? It's much easier to get the 1 point and then reveal with Fremen Bond and get more Spice Mist flows. Usually, it's a weird card, and I mentioned that earlier in the video, that I find it to be a difficult card sometimes because it warps your game a little too much, and it can get in the way, especially if you're maybe greedy like I am.
I think that's
Very good point.
a fair thing to say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think
That's probably a fair thing to say.
yeah, I think that's fair.
There is
Patience.
one point I say.
I mean, I think Firm Grip is just a
I
better
do want to
card.
just bring up, as it's a point that I'm not going to talk about now. It's going to come with a card that's
And this is not Shadow.
I think that's fair.
There- There is one point I say quickly here. I do want to just bring up, as it's a point that I'm not going to talk about now. It's going to come with a card that's coming up very shortly. But the concept of like the influence bumps being worth points. You know, like obviously 2 bumps is a point. I think it with it's probably the case because of course you get to choose where you're putting your bumps, so that is the power, I think. If it just like say if it just did one like randomly, you rolled like a d4 or something, and it chose randomly for you, it'd be far more different than the fact that you get to pick. If that makes any sense, I know like rolling randomly, like rolling randomly is obviously sounds completely dumb, but it's a mentality that I'm gonna try and enforce for a conversation about 10 minutes.
Is that a card?
About 10 minutes.
Is
About 10 minutes.
is that a card called Loose Grip?
I mean, it can be if you don't use it.
I thought that was funny. Anyway.
A card called Loose Grip.
I mean, it can be. I mean, it can be if you don't use it correctly. It can definitely
Lose your grip. Lose your grip. Lose your grip.
It can
Lose your
definitely
grip.
things,
You know, I think for me,
it can
lose your
definitely
grip.
things,
You know, I think for me, there's a couple of things about Firm Grip that really put over the top. Obviously, it's affordable at 4. It's the fact that the Emperor track is usually the least contested for the Alliance. Not always, but usually. So that means if you're getting to wealth, the odd time maybe to that other one that I can't even remember the name of that starts with the C. What's it called?
Inspire. Fire. Inspire.
Conspire, exactly. I saw starts with the C. What's it called?
Inspire.
Oh.
What's it called?
Inspire.
Conspire, exactly. I so rarely go there.
Second time
Um,
we've gotten that in this conversation.
It's sad because Patience used to play a lot of Dune. He's been super busy. He hasn't had time
Conspire,
to.
exactly. I so rarely go there. So rarely go there.
Second time we've gotten that in conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second time we've gotten that in this conversation.
Conspire, exactly. I so rarely go there.
Second time we've gotten that in this conversation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's like a little shot at the Conspire fans. I apologize. Apologize. The Conspire fans. I apologize. I apologize.
I cannot look at you the same way again.
I apologize.
I cannot look at you the same way again.
Yeah. I apologize, but with I think the fact that you're getting too bummed.
Uh oh, there goes everything. It just disappeared. We're actually how far are we? Third of the way.
And one of them is in a track where you're having much easier time getting the alliance. To me is really huge. And then the other thing that has already been mentioned is once you get that alliance, if you get it, then in the final round, if you have more important things to do than use firm grip, then it's part of, if you have the alliance, then it's part of an easy spice must flow. It's the only card worth 4 persuasion. Well, you have to have the alliance, obviously. You have to have the alliance, obviously. For persuasion. Well, yeah, it's the only. The only card worth 4 persuasion. Well, you have to have the alliance, obviously.
Yes.
The one thing I will say that the one thing I will say that can be a little tricky with firm grip is that people are pretty savvy, especially if there's a unit in the game or an Ilban, maybe even a Leto. They're more likely to.
What happened?
Go to wealth, and so you have to have some spice in reserve in order to get to conspire. So you just have to be aware of the things that can block you, and I think this is the case for all these cards. You have to be aware of what can go wrong so that you can play around it. That's how you get better at this game. Go wrong so that you can play around it. That's how you get better. That's how you get better at this. And that's how you get better at this game, obviously. And I've been, having a bunch of bad games lately where having a bunch of bad games lately where I could have done better, but I stand firm that this is one of the best cards in the game.
Funny.
This is something I did want to.
Literally have not listened to this for months.
This is something I did want to bring up briefly with this card. What is the value of going to wealth to block someone from using firm grip to go there? Do you think that's a valuable thing to do?
Yes. Yes.
Because wealth, obviously, just think that's a valuable thing to do.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
because wealth of it's a valuable thing to do.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
because wealth, obviously, like just going to wealth, it's not the best square in the game at all by any stretch of imagination. Like, it's nice, but obviously, like, it doesn't feel great. I don't think typically.
Mm-hmm. 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 No, you're right.
So it's something that I wanted to. I think was worth meriting typically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
So it's something that I wanted to. I think was worth meriting some discussion.
The big thing is that there are no other money generating
So what is everyone up to tonight?
spaces for firm grips.
Playing
It's only
Dune,
created
hanging
to
out.
remember, right.
It's 9:06. I think. Oh, it's time to watch the trailer and do a reaction. Let's do that. Let's turn the music off for a moment. Let's watch the video. Not from them. Let's watch it from Warner Brothers. Are you ready? If you've not seen it already, this is the Dune 2 trailer with my reaction. Oh my. Let me remove myself from... Alright, ready?
When you see sand here, imagine water. If you dive in, you can't reach the bottom.
You dive in.
Yes, it's called swimming.
I don't believe you.
In the shadows of Arrakis lie many secrets. But the darkest of them all may remain. The end of House Atreides.
Your father didn't believe in revenge.
What if Paul Atreides were still alive?
Have you ever had a dream about your first ride?
Don't try to impress anyone. You're brave, we all know that. Be simple. Be direct. Nothing fancy.
I understand. Nothing fancy.
You will never lose me, Paul Atreides.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
May thy knife chip and shatter.
That is so freaking good. Oh man, I love it. There's so many good parts in this that I want to talk
If you
about.
dive in, you can't reach the bottom.
You dive in.
Yes, it's called swimming.
I don't believe you.
They have some good charisma.
In the shadows of Arrakis lie many
There's
secrets.
there's Sayadina. We were just talking about Sayadina. Either obviously having already taken the water of life, possibly
the
in a
darkest
vision.
of them all may remain.
So we have Irulan. And Irulan, if you've read the books and you know that her narration is basically bookending the the chapters. Every chapter begins with something from Irulan that continues through, I think, all of the books. Might be mistaken there, but they're obviously not the ones when she's dead, but 1, 2, and 3, I think. And yeah, so she's recording it, which is kind of cool. It's nice. Not sure what this is. This is probably just the aftermath stuff. They don't really talk about in the book.
What if
This is interesting. Actually reminds me of book 3 of Dune when Paul is like the old hermit in the
all the
desert.
treaties were still alive?
We get a glimpse of Gurney here working for Harkonnens because he's captured by the Harkonnens. And this stuff's awesome. This is the stuff I was like really looking forward to. If you've not read the books, then you should probably like tune out right now, because I was talking a little bit about what's going on. It's kind of cool. This is in the past. On Giedi Prime, Fade is in an arena, and he kind of like the Harkonnens fight just people for sport. And Fade in this chapter of the book is like, he wants to impress so much that he wants to actually fight someone who is not impaired. And usually what happens is the Harkonnens make it look like it's a good fight, but the person who the Harkonnen is fighting is usually like impaired in some way, like drugged or whatever. But he doesn't want to fight someone who's drugged, but they give them like a kill word or something like that, so they can kill him at any moment. Not Fade, but the person he's fighting. So it's interesting. There's some cool stuff there. So that the black and white, you see the black and white. There's another scene later on with the black and white, which is pretty awesome. Where is it? Right here. There, you see Fade fighting against the other person in the arena. He's got the 2 daggers, one supposedly just regular dagger, the other one tipped in poison. The Harkonnen way. And there's a little glimpse of Margot Fenring, who is watching on and is supposed to be, I don't know, kind of just there's a bunch of supposed to be a bunch of other people in this scene. There's like the Count Fenring and Margot and other people.
You will never.
Some BGs. Looks like. Actually, I'm not 100% sure. The Reverend Mother, actually. This might be... it's the Fremen, so yeah, maybe the Reverend Mother?
Lose me, Paul Atreides.
And this stuff, I have absolutely no idea what's going on here. As I'm excited to know to learn what's going on in this scene. I think... Oh god, it's been a while since I've read the book, but there's like dead animals there. I don't know. There's something going on here. I want to know more. But that's pretty cool. And other cool stuff, other scenes. This like image here, you can see them being shown the chamber of the makers, the little makers, right? The little worms that they drown in water and essentially just used to create the water of life, right? So I don't know how to exactly explain it. They drown them and then things happen. But I love the way that this is shot. It's just so cool. Like the passageway is circular. Then you can see the little path down there. Something like that going on here. And here you've got, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. This is like just some door code thing you hit your hand in and then it lets you in. I love the way they do the eyes in this. And then we've got some like cool guns. There's Baron Harkonnen being Baron Harkonnen. God, he looks so good in that makeup though. I mean, Skarsgård is just like one talented individual. He can play anything. If you've seen him in that Star Wars Andor, he is just phenomenal in Andor. Phenomenal. So anyway, it's my rant. about Dune Part 2 trailer. Looks really good. I like that. Like, see, we saw our glimpse of... Whoops, sorry. There he is. Of Raban. Now, interestingly enough, who's behind him, right? More Harkonnens? This must be on Giedi Prime? Maybe not. Not sure what's going on here. But he gets, obviously, if you've not read the book, he is sent to, you know, squeeze the spice out of Arrakis, and then he's going to send, then the Baron's going to send Fade down to save them. The idea, the plot. But I love this. Oof, man, this whole scene that they show
You're brave, we all know that.
is so phenomenal. It's so
Be
good.
simple. Be direct.
Denis Villeneuve always has this way of like making something that you'd think would work one way not quite work that way, and I just love it. I think it's so good. Like he's like falling down the side of the worm, and he's scraping along trying to get one of those rings so he can wrench it open, and so the worm will pull him up to the top so it doesn't get sand and it's under its arm. If he doesn't do it fast enough, he'll be crushed, right? So
I understand. Nothing fancy.
so cool.
You will never lose me, Paul Atreides.
Like the riff. It must be Fenring or Irulan.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
May thy knife chip and shatter.
Really surprised that they show even the end. I'm pretty amazed that they're actually showing this at all. And I wonder if this is a dream or whether it's the actual fight. So we'll see. But that's really cool. There's some things I'm thinking about.
And shatter.
It's rad. We don't see any Christopher Walken, unfortunately. I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing Christopher Walken as the Emperor. So we'll see. Anyway, that's my side trip today. Doesn't go to a desert. No, it doesn't go to desert.
No.
And so if it were, right?
But it's something
Back
that
to
I
editing.
wanted to. I think was worth meriting some discussion.
The big thing is that there are no other money generating spaces for firm grip. It's only green and it's only Emperor. Right? Doesn't go to a desert. No, it doesn't go to desert.
No.
And so if it went to desert, I'd say it would be a terrible idea. But because there's no other way to make money, I think that it's a very valid way to block people, especially if they're sitting on no spice, as 0 to 3 spice.
Well,
Money generating spaces for firm grip. It's only green and it's only Emperor, right? The thing is that there are no other money generating spaces for firm grip. It's only green and it's only Emperor, right? The big thing is that there are no other.
wanted to. I think was worth meriting some discussion.
The big it's only green and it's only Emperor, right? Doesn't go to a desert. No, it doesn't go to a desert.
No.
And so if it went to desert, I'd say it would be a terrible idea. But because there's no other way to make money, I think that it's a very valid way to block people, especially if they're sitting on.
Hopefully my stream doesn't get blocked because I showed that.
No spice, 0 to 3 spice.
Wealth is like it's the easy way to do it.
Yeah, it's an easy way to do it.
Wealth is like it's the easy way to do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an easy way to do it, and you're gonna go there. And you're gonna do it. Way to do it. And you're gonna go there eventually anyway. I mean, you don't want to go there a lot, but one trip to wealth, maybe 2.
Give it a couple.
2.
Give it a couple.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
There's
totally
nothing
reasonable.
wrong with that. Taking double bumps, firming up.
Maybe 2.
Give it a couple.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
that's totally
nothing
reasonable.
wrong with that. Taking double bumps, firming up your emperor. Alliance, which is always good for at least the point there, and obviously trying to push someone else elsewhere. It's a nice way of, like, if someone's trying to hold on, like, to say the guild ambassador, for example. Guild ambassador, for example, and trying to print victory points with that alliance. This can be a great way of, like, challenging that and kind of putting pressure on them.
Our next card coming in at number 6. Our next. Yeah, it's an easy way to do it, and you.
Someone's trying to hold on, like, to say the guild ambassador, for example, and trying to print victory points with that alliance. This can be a great way of, like, challenging that and kind of putting pressure on them.
Our next card coming in at number 6.
Average of... Oh, there's 2 cards. What would directorship? Okay. Oh no. Here's 1 card. 767. Yep. All right. In the shadows. This card. Everyone loves In the Shadows.
Is In the Shadows. And shadows, and we have this one ranked very close together.
Black Shadow 7, 8, 8. Okay.
Our next card coming in at number 6 is In the Shadows, and we have this one ranked very close together at 8. And 8 for Patience and Me, and Black Shadow has it at 7, and its average rank is 7. And we have this one ranked very close together at 8 and 8 for Patience and Me, and Black Shadow has it at 7, and its average rank is 7.67. So there's a big jump here.
How on earth is this card worth 2 persuasion?
I don't know.
On earth is this card worth 2 persuasion?
I don't know.
How?
Average rank is 7.67, so there's a big jump here.
How on earth is this card worth 2 persuasion?
I don't know.
How? Like, how? Like,
Oops, where did it go?
how? Like, I don't. This is probably the same as a liaison. I don't. This is probably the same as a. Liaison? same as a liaison?
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's really weird. It's really weird that that's a thing. Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is with this card, but in the shadows has to be a mistake of the development process when you're like, okay, well, it doesn't have any persuasion, so therefore it's not worth.
Like, I don't. This is probably the same as a liaison.
Yeah. It's really weird. Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know what the. I don't know what the deal is with this card, but in the shadows has to be a mistake of the development process when you're like, okay, well, it doesn't have any persuasion, so therefore it's not worth 3 or 4. I'm sure they have some sort of algorithm for doing this, or maybe they're just feeling it out. But the fact that it costs 2,
Sorry, Paul, if you're watching,
which is the same as the voice.
Yeah.
Which is the same as the.
I love the voice, but these cards are not the same. Let's move this one over.
Which is the same as the voice, which is the same as liaison. Now, obviously, okay. Now, the theme of a lot of the Bene Gesserit cards is they are high effect cards that generally, run low in persuasion. Okay. This one, though, gives you an influence with Bene Gesserit for reveal, and you can unload it to do that, which is where it just goes completely bonkers. And when you're done with that, you can just play it when you have 2 influence with the Bene Gesserit. You can just go up with another track. Do also the Bene Gesserit. You can just go up with another track. Do all sorts of actions as well. This becomes a better firm grip.
Yeah, it's a better firm grip. That's funny. It is a better firm grip.
The Bene Gesserit, you can just go up with another track. Do all sorts of actions as well. This becomes a better firm grip once you've got 2 influence with the Bene Gesserit. I don't understand this card at all. I don't understand this card at all.
Yeah. And if you are lucky enough, you can then pair this up with cards of unload effect.
I don't understand this card at all.
Yeah. And if you are lucky enough, you can then pair this up with cards of unload effects.
Yeah.
Other unload effects. X Guild. I actually have seen this happen in the shadows, getting offloaded with an X Guild compact. That's pretty nasty. What else? Various unload effects in the game, so any trash effect as well.
This up with cards of unload effects.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
Which is nuts. Effects.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Which is nuts. Let me remind everyone here. Other cards that are worth 2 persuasion in this game. Guild Administrator. Persuasion in this game. Guild Administrator. Okay, totally fine. Freighter Fleet. Okay, sure. Arrakis Recruiter.
Arrakis Recruiter.
Arrakis Recruiter. Spice. Arrakis Recruiter. Spice Hunter. What?
Well, we were talking about balance and that certain cards are intentionally imbalanced.
Okay, sure. Arrakis Recruiter. Spice Hunter. What?
Well, we were talking...
Okay, sure. Arrakis Recruiter. Spice Hunter. What?
Well, we were talking about balance and that certain cards are
I'm doing it, Daniel.
imbalanced. This is definitely...
It's, I mean, I started here, so I've had this edited, but it takes a while. This is a long video, but not all of this is exactly video that's going to be used. Some of it, patients needed to like go and do something, and so it's like a lot of dead air. So yeah, it's getting done.
What?
Well, we were talking about balance and...
Spice Hunter. What?
Well, we were talking about balance
It's a great
and
one.
that certain cards are intentionally imbalanced. This is definitely one of them. I've had so many situations come up when I played this game where I flip a card, I like buy something, and then I don't have anything left over to buy in the shadows, which just comes up and the next person just takes it. The amount of tempo this card gives you is unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Whoa, what was that? That was weird. Why isn't this shortening? What the heck? Why aren't you shortening? That was bizarre. No problem, Daniel. I mean, it'll get done. I've been meaning to finish it for a long time, but other videos and tournament things and life things, you know.
Maybe this is
just
Maybe-
unbelievable.
Maybe this is
If-
why we weren't selective breeding.
It's just
Maybe-
unbelievable.
Maybe this is
If-
why we weren't selective breeding. All these games we've played, all the card crash we've done. Maybe this is the end product of all our selective breeding in the shadow.
What? I don't remember him saying that.
We
Just like-
breed
Well, I-
Absolute super card. End product of all our selective breeding in the shadows.
It's pretty funny.
Just
we
like
breed
Well,
a shadow.
absolute super card.
if you think if you think of it from a designer's point of view, if the ultimate goal of a designer is not only to create like a functional and tight game and all those other things, but is to create drama and stories and tension, then this card is perfect. Like,
Oh, yeah.
This card is perfect. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It flips on the row and everybody's like, ah, you know, like it's
Yeah.
just like, and then you play it in as an unload and just for all its different purposes, and you steal. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
just like, and then you play it in as an unload and just for all its different purposes, and you steal alliances and you do all sorts of crazy stuff with it in combination with other cards. I have it a little lower. I still think some of these other point generating cards are better, but it's definitely in the top. You know, what I have it at. I have it at number 8. It's definitely a top 10
I
card,
actually
and
think
it's
this might be
obviously
like the
super
top
cheap. I
3
think
card in the
Web
game.
of Power has a slight edge on In the Shadows, which
Web of Power does not have a slight edge on In the Shadows anymore.
shows up in our average ranking.
If it did have a slight edge on In the Shadows, it does not anymore. What is going on with my... What happened here? That was weird. Oh, there was a tiny little piece there somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That was bizarre.
It's definitely in the top. You know, what I have it at. I have it at number 8. It's definitely a top 10 card, and it's obviously super cheap. I think Web of Power has a slight edge on In the Shadows, which shows up in our average ranking.
Yeah.
But I still disagree with that generally. I think at the time I probably thought that In the Shadows was... Maybe I was an In the Shadows apologist to some degree, but I don't think that that's true. I think In the Shadows is probably likely one of the top 3 cards in the game. It's just unbelievable.
yeah,
The amount of flexibility it gives you. It goes to a city space. You can get your Swordmaster with it and do all this stuff with it and trigger on. That's so stupid. I think it's actually gotten worse with Immortality, to be quite honest.
The ranking.
Yeah.
it's close, but it's
Interested
yeah,
to hear what
that's fair.
you all think about it. Whether you think it's
Now-
still okay or not, or
I
whether you think it's
like this
a
card.
problem card.
Close, but it's yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say.
Now, I like this card. Don't get me wrong. I love playing it. When I get it, I feel woohoo! I get to do the things. I feel powerful, and no one else has this effect. Every other round.
Well, there's
I'm gonna
2
go up with
copies of the
Jesser,
card.
and I don't have to go there. That feels great. I don't want to go there anyway, you know, unless I have to. And it's one of those cards that creates... It doesn't even create that tension. This is one of my problems with it as a developing a card perspective. Is that it doesn't create the tension that Ixion Engineer or Guild Ambassador does. It creates the kind of opposite tension that Chome Delegate does. There's like, I have...
I still agree with that point that I made.
tension that Chome Delegate does. There's like, I have to pick up this card. It's clearly the best card, and it's super easy to afford. I don't have to worry about it. It's just, I'm gonna get it. Like, unless you have completely botched your reveal turn and you have like 1 or 0% persuasion, you're going to be able to afford this card. It is very easy to do. So that's my problem with the card. But again, super fun to play. I love it when I get it. I hate it when other people get it. I hate it when people get other types of enablers for it, and like the hollow
projectors.
The hollow projectors, anything else that discards a card.
Hezia.
Just being Tessia. Yeah, you could do it with Tessia.
God forbid. God forbid this card gets discarded and then trashed in one turn, which I've seen happen with the Guild Administrator.
Guild what? Not Guild Administrator. What is he called? Guild something. Where did it go? Just lost everything. Here we go.
What is it? The Chief Guild Administrator?
Chief Guild Administrator. Chief. Here it is. Chief Guild Administrator. That's what I'm talking about. Like, what am I talking about? Chief Guild Administrator. Double trigger effect. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so annoying, and you're
Double
like, okay.
bump.
Yeah.
Going there. Like, yeah, that's the great thing. Like,
It's technically 3 bumps if you do it that way, because you can go to Spacing Guild. You go to Spacing Guild, and this is before Immortality, before we were getting triple bumps everywhere.
Great way of seeing other factions, but in itself is its own.
Oh, I have to put shadow.
Is a
thing, and you're like, okay.
Bump.
So annoying, and you're
Double
like, okay.
bump.
Yeah.
Going there. Like, yeah, that's the great thing. Like, in shelves is a great way of seeing other factions, but in itself is its own great way of sealing its own faction as well.
Yeah.
Probably.
Great way of sealing its own faction as well.
Yeah.
Probably.
When it comes up.
Now I.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably.
When it comes up.
Now I.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you.
Oh, go ahead.
Now I.
Go ahead.
No, you finish that one.
Last thing I want to say is that when you're thinking about playing around this card, there are a couple things that I want to say. So you can play around the card, but unfortunately, the only way to play around this card is to just don't go to Bene Gesserit. don't bank on winning that alliance. Okay, go to level 2 and just stop, because you're not going to outrace the person within the shadows unless you have like one of the other very powerful cards that we were going to talk about here in a minute. But this card's effect on the game is a little bit like, I think, like Chum Delegate unfair, and that it gives whoever has it an immediate and it's not a paid advantage, it's just an advantage. There's no cost. I think this card would be fair if it was like you pay a spice to go up with the Bene Gesserit in reveal. That would be fair. That makes sense. There's a trade-off there. It makes sense. But especially at a 2-cost card. But because it's just a reveal bump, yeah, bothers me. But anyway.
Especially if you just like stand.
But anyway.
Especially if you just. Especially if you just like. Especially if you just like send this like Arakeen, like you're basically negating the discard in theory.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't even matter. So you just go Arakeen, you discard a bad card, you draw. Better, basically negating the discard in theory.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't even matter. So you just go Arakeen, you discard a bad card, you draw a better one, you get a bump.
Where's Water Peddler? Water Peddler. Let's go to bad one. Get a good one.
Arakeen, you discard a bad card.
You get a better one.
You draw a better one.
Draw a better one. Magical Christmas Land time.
Bad card, you draw a better one, you get card, you draw a better one, you get a bump, you send troops into combat.
Swear I had one. Do you think they'll continue to bloat the game with future expansions, or maybe they'll treat Ix as the new base game and new expansion will be swapped in and out? Oh, that is a good question, and I can't answer it. I don't have any sort of inside information about their design. My hope is that they take a step back and try and stop making it faster, because the game seems to be speeding up, and maybe redesign the board so that it slows the game down a little bit. Something like that. I also hope that maybe as a default we play to, I don't know, 12 points, 10, like something else, just as a default. Like it's a little I know that there's epic mode, but like 6 and 7 rounds is not enough time. It's just clearly not enough time, and it messes with the balance. Like you kind of have to get to round 8 for everyone to kind of have a chance, or it's just like first, second, third place generally run away with it. So I hope something happens with the next expansion. I hope that actually a couple things happen. That they, and I think this is what's going to happen, so you can quote me on this if you want. They have so right now the center of gravity in the game is shipping, and so it's the fold space and a little bit with the Fremen, right? Not too much, but they're going to add those types of spaces to the Bene Gesserit and to the Emperor. So hopefully those foci change the way that we play, so that we're not always doing the same kinds of things. Also, hopefully it slows the game down somewhat, I don't know that it will. I'm still a little bit annoyed that the game ends round 6 and 7 sometimes. I can deal with that sometimes, but I hate like a round 7 end. It's like we added more points, but we start at 0, so it doesn't. It's exactly the same. I kind of don't like that, but that's fine. I'm just me complaining, but I still still play the game all the time. It's like not much not much of a complaint really. Here's what I'm looking for: troops.
The combat, like you're just doing so. You send troops in the one, you get a bump. You send troops in the combat.
Okay. Can I group these? Position. That's what I want. Yeah, well, yeah. One thing I do mention, I have said that I hope that they do is not keep adding more boards, but to refine the main board. Um, like, there's not much else you can do. More leaders would be excellent. A new starting hand, like, the 10 cards you start with, changing those up instead of the current cards. We start with different cards. Um, I wouldn't mind that. Just a curated deck. Like, here's a high level curated deck that everyone can play. Like, take out these cards, and these cards. Bam, you're done. Just play like that. Those are the things that are on my like wish list. So, by the way, position.
Send troops in the combat, like you're just doing so much.
And it enables other it enables other unload effects.
Draw a better one, you get a bump. You send troops in the combat, like you're just doing so much.
And it enables
in theory,
exactly.
Like, it doesn't even matter. So you just go Arakeen, you discard a bad card, you draw a better one, you get a bump. You send troops in the combat, like you're just doing so much.
And it enables other unload effects because you discard a card to go up, right? So
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
it's just yeah, I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
I maybe
Patience. Go ahead.
I may be
Patience.
yeah, I may be missing something in game theory because I'm not like somebody who researches game theory and design theory. But for me, what I like about In the Shadows as part of this overall asymmetrical design of the card deck and the fact that the costs aren't balanced is that there's just enough. There's just like 10% of the cards which are valued way too low or which cost way too low compared to their impact. And that's part of what creates the craziness and the dynamism of the Imperium row. And in the Shadows, what I meant earlier when I was talking about the tension it creates, there's two kinds of tension. The main tension is when this is on the row to start the game or flips early in the game, then the tension is somebody going to reveal on their first turn? Is somebody going to reveal before they take their second action to grab this? And the answer to the second question is almost always yes. Somebody will reveal.
It's very or
Always yes. Somebody will reveal.
It's very or does someone just snag it with like Helena Recas? That's the other
Yeah.
thing.
Let's get the different pictures of Elena. We're actually making some good progress. How far am I? Yeah, not bad. I don't think I'm going to get it done tonight, but we will do our best.
If it's on the Imperial Road, like you or does someone just snag it with like Helena Recas? That's Helena Recas. That's I give it like Helena Recas. Snag it with like Helena Recas. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. Especially if it's on the Imperial Road, like you almost always see one of them there. Just they just want to pick their ring and just take it and just it's a done deal.
Yeah. So my yeah. Somebody gonna reveal it.
That's the other
Yeah.
thing. Especially that's the other
Yeah.
thing. Especially if it's on the Imperial Road, like you almost always see one of them there. Just they just want to pick their ring and just take it and just it's a done deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So my last game that I got in the Shadows,
And what happened to the numbers? Numbers disappeared.
there was like both Web of Power and In the Shadows were in the Imperium row. And I was going first. So somebody picked Akaz, somebody picked Helena,
Sure.
and I ended up with whoever, Tessia, I can't remember, as going first. And I got lucky and drew six persuasion in my hand. And I revealed as the first action of the game and grabbed both those cards. Somebody picked Akaz, somebody picked Helena.
Sure.
and I ended up with whoever, Tessia, I can't remember, as going first. And I got lucky and drew six persuasion in my hand. And I revealed as the first action of the game and grabbed both those cards and had zero second thoughts about doing so.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, that's what
and
I'm
that's what
talking
I
about.
mean about stories. Second thoughts about doing so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Doing so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no doubt. No doubt. I mean, that's what I'm
And that's
talking
what I
about.
mean about stories. And that's what I mean about stories. Like, this card generates drama and stories, and that's like a story that I'll always have about Dune Imperium.
Yeah. No, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, okay, I agree. Yeah. No, okay, I agree.
I think the only thing I can.
Okay, I agree.
Story that I'll always have about Dune Imperium.
Yeah. No, okay, I agree.
Yeah, I think the only thing I can say that doesn't like put this in the absolute top tier is that it does require it takes a little bit of time to really get the big effort, and obviously that you have to get the 2 Bene Gesserit influence.
No, it doesn't. It takes absolutely no time to get that to happen. It's so easy to get 2 influence with the Bene
To
Gesserit.
actually start actioning its real big power. Now, obviously, you can just take that from just reveals, which is obviously what you're probably going to end up doing. But it does mean that means you're not
I disagree.
revealing other cards that might let you buy other bits and pieces or have other effects. So there's like the slightest drawback there.
Guesses. I guess you can say. I guess.
Yes, if you want to be really nitpicky about it. It takes
Yeah, I mean, it's a
little
nitpick.
while
It's
to
not-
really unleash its powers, but it's never too long.
Okay. We on to the next one.
Yeah. Okay.
We are on to the next one. Okay, good. Thank God. Done with that stupid
To
card.
really unleash its powers, but it's never too long.
Okay. Okay. We're moving on. Next is
Big
Chome.
8.
We have two. We have 2 tied here. Yeah. Okay, we're moving on. Next is
Big
Chome.
8.
Oh, I actually think this is. Oh, that's funny. We do Chum next. Oops. Not in media. Chum directorship. This is actually tied with Power. So.
Okay, we're moving.
Wait, that was weird.
Okay.
Oh, those aren't fading. Ha, funny. What's going on?
Okay, we're moving on. Next is
A big
Chome.
8.
Big old show me. Let's go. This card's great. Everyone knows it's great. Wipe. Linear wipe. As you may be noticing here, this takes a long time. This is a complicated video. I do like doing it. It just takes me a long time. So. All right, and this one is number 5 and 4. Average 6. All right, Shome. Let's see if I do it. How do I do? How many?
Two. We have 2 tied here at.
Okay, I do talk about. Thank God. I hate when I have to edit it so that I show the first one and then the second one. So this one is Chome and Web. I have Web at number 7. All right, Shome for Black Shadow is at 12. And then what? Web of Power's at 4. And then Chome is at 1, and Web is at 7. Patience. Okay. We're nearly there. Nearly got it completed. 4. We have only 3 more cards to talk about after these 2. Obviously. And then I think there's a little outro. But
At 4 and 5, Web of Power and Chome direct.
okay.
This is
A big
Chome.
8.
We have 2. We have 2 tied here.
Whoops.
We have 2. We have 2.
A big
Chome.
8.
Why is that so quick?
Next is
A big
Chome.
8.
We have 2. We have
There we
2
go.
tied here at 4 and 5. Web of Power and Chome directorship. Let's start with Chome directorship because I think that's going to have the most drama. Chome directorship.
Oh, I have it at 2, not 1. This is wrong. Yeah, that's right. Oh no, Chome directorship is at 15. I'm wrong. I was looking at Chome delegate for Black Shadow. Oh, by the way, this is our rankings right here. Yeah, everything has been sitting in here for a while.
Now,
It could be here
patience.
a while.
Yeah, we're gonna be here a while. Chom. Next is
A big-
Chom.
Big 8.
Okay, we're moving on. Next is
A big
Chom.
8.
We have 2. We have 2. We have 2. We have 2 tied here at 4 and 5. Web of Power and Chom Directorship. Tied here. We have 2. We have 2. We have 2 tied here at 4 and 5. Web of Power and Chom Directorship. Let's start with Chom Directorship because I think that's going to have the most drama. Chom Directorship. Now,
It could be
patience. Now,
It could be here
patience.
a while.
Yeah, we're gonna be here a while. Chom is ranked at 1 by patient. It is ranked 2 by me. It is ranked 15 by Black Shadow.
50.
That's pretty funny. I like the the repeat by patience.
Shadow.
15.
50. 50.
15.
So I don't know what happened. Yeah, we're gonna be here a while. Chom is 15 by Black Shadow.
I think he made a mistake when he was ranking them.
So I don't know what happened here.
So before I lose all, before
So many people talking all at once. Super annoying.
before I lose all credibility,
Yeah. Yeah.
because this is likely.
Yeah.
Because this is likely going to occur. I
It's funny. Sorry for the stopping and starting.
think no. So this is the card I said I'm willing to. It shouldn't be at 15. It should be a little bit higher, especially again. Like I had to rush to get some of these last ones. I'll probably switch it with Peter, for example, and switch them around.
Really? Where's his Piter? His Piter's a 10. Which we talked about before in the previous, or in this video, actually.
That puts it at like
I've already
10
edited that
or
part.
whatever. I think that's fine. I would not put this
10?
any higher than that. And I this is a hill I'm prepared to die on, and this requires a bit of a discussion and a bit of this requires some in-depth real talk here. So,
Yeah, I still think he's absolutely 100% wrong about this card.
so let's
No
talk about
way
the
it is
card
a
first.
15 or a 10.
There are not many cards in this game that when you buy them, you get an instant effect. There's very few. And obviously, out of the 4 or 5 cards that let you do that, this is obviously, without question, the most powerful. A bump in every single faction. This is obviously really good. And people will see this, and they'll see 4 influence bumps in 4 factions and think, this is really strong, I need to get this. I think this card can be a slight fallacy to itself in that just because you're getting 4 bumps in influence, I don't think, and this is why I brought up this whole is a bump half a victory point. I don't think this card. I don't think this card is worth 2 victory points.
What?
I just don't.
Oh, yeah, I remember this conversation now. I remember this conversation now. He probably does not think
I
this
just
anymore.
don't. I think it's a.
I have a feeling he probably does not have the same thoughts on
bit of a fallacy
this card.
that it's worth it, and this is what I'm going to talk about. So, first of all, this costs 8 persuasion, which is huge, very expensive. It's difficult to get. You're gonna have to be expensive. It's difficult to get. You're gonna have to commit some of your turn to try and get hold of this card.
It's not
now,
even
let's
hard to
remember,
do
of course, that for
anymore.
1 more point of persuasion, you can buy Spice Plus Flow, which is a guaranteed point. Once you get it, it's done. It's in the bank. No one can ever take that away from you. This is why I think Challenge Directorship is a little tricky. I don't think it's
This is back when he was calling it Challenge
worth 2
Directorship too.
victory points, because you have to understand how the influence works and what you're getting it for. Now, in an ideal world, say it's like, say, a turn 3 or turn 4, which is the only chance you're going to get to ever draw this card. You're never going to get it on your first turn. You're almost never, ever going to find a way to get it on your second turn. So it's going to be basically turn 3, turn 4. If you haven't done very much faction access at all, and you've basically just gone to cities and such, and then you just, like, you maybe...
I'd say the only thing that makes this card less good is
Steel
Atomics.
Suits, like a bad, like, with your Sikh allies, and then you went to, like, Research Station, and, like, your Helena, and you do it with your Signet Ring, and you get Challenge Directorship. Great. 4 bumps in alliances that you haven't achieved very much progress in. That's probably worth 2 points, because you've not actually gained anything from them. I think where there's a bit of a fallacy here is that if you get this later in the game, looking like turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, the problem is at that point is that by then you've probably already put some effort into some factions. And there's going to be one that you're probably targeting, one that you're looking to defend, maybe one you're trying to steal, you're playing as a Tezzy or something like that. This is obviously very, very strong. How often in like turn 6 are you going to take 4 influence bumps and all 4 of those influence bumps actually be useful? I think that's the question that I pose here, because typically there's one that's going to get you to an alliance, there's going to be 1, maybe 2 that get you the 2 influence to get that victory point, but I think it's very hard to have every single bump to be useful, because there's going to be one, like the Spacing Guild, for example. If you don't push the Spacing Guild because you're not shipping, someone is bound to have pushed it. And, yeah, with Guild Ambassador or whatever else. And ultimately, that bump is kind of wasted to me, because you've got your 2 influence, you've gone instead of shipping, perhaps. That 3rd bump's doing you nothing. You're not going to spend a 4th influence bump on it to get hold of free Solari. You're almost never, ever going to do that. So I don't think this is quite worth 2 victory points in the actual sense. You have the additional issue with this card in what do you actually do once you get hold of it. If you do get it early, fantastic, you get all those influence bumps, but then what do? You can't use it. There's no agent actions. You can reveal it, free Solari. It's okay, I guess, but what else is it doing other than that, you know? And then typically this obviously becomes a candidate for trying to trash. And for some characters, this is easy. You know, like an ECAS can just reveal it and trash it by going to, you know, to like board spaces and just trash it that way. That's fine. But other than that, you're kind of having to waste effort and actions potentially getting this back out of your deck because you've already bought it for its use, and that is stuff that you could use for other things. This is why I cannot rate this in like the absolute upper echelon of the card. I just don't think there's enough nuanced drawbacks when you really delve into it. I think just keep it out of the way. The instant impact is huge, obviously, and very strong, and people will go for it. But if you get to 8 persuasion, you'll not always, but there will be several occasions you're going to get to 9 anyways because you've research stationed or you've decided to go select.
I think this was more true in Ix. It's not true anymore.
Arguments or convincing and a liaison, for example, and you get to 9 anyways, and you would have got the point regardless. So I think there's a slight thing that I think people miss about this card. That's why I can't rate this like super duper high.
It's still super duper high.
Patience.
No, you go first, man. I'm waiting.
I'm hoping
Now you go.
What? The heck happened? That's weird.
Super duper high.
Patience.
Now you.
Patience. Patience. Patience.
Now you go first, man. I'm waiting.
Are you sure?
I'm hoping.
First, man. I'm waiting. Now you go first, man. I'm waiting.
Are you sure?
I'm hoping that what I've said.
Now you go first, man. I'm waiting.
Are you
I'm
sure?
hoping that what I've said, like, you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
That it doesn't, like, it's not. Understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
That it doesn't, like, it's not complete madness.
No, it's partial madness. I think that there. I think this. What you're saying is true. There are situations where buying this card is not the best thing to do. It's usually in the mid to late game when alliances have been taken, and if you're kind of middling on the influence tracks, then buying this, like if you're above rank 2 with every faction, then the value of this card goes down significantly, unless you are about to steal on it.
Oh, that's not. Those numbers are wrong. What happened? Something happened. Those are the right numbers, not this. Whoops. Let's fix that.
Why I can't rate this like super duper high.
You know, fell swoop, you'll buy.
Yeah, I should know this. This can't. If
situations where buying alliances have been taken, and if you're kind of middling on the influence tracks, then buying this, like if you're above rank 2 with every faction, then the value of this card goes down significantly, unless you are about to steal an alliance or something like that.
Or your Tezia. I should know this. This can't. If you're Tezia, this is probably the best card in the game. Probably. It's definitely up there.
It's
it might be.
Good for Tezia.
I would say it's possibly better than some of the cards we've ranked higher than this. You know, it's definitely up there. It's incredibly strong because always you're going to get those snooper bonuses. They're going to prepare you. You're going to be challenging potentially multiple alliances at the same time, and it makes people do all sorts of crazy shit. But outside of that, it's just, I think that's the issue. You get 4 bumps, but I don't think you actually get 4 bumps worth of benefit. And when, again, for 1 persuasion more, you get that victory point guaranteed anyways, and that's a line they can't take it. It's not an alliance that could get restolen from you. I think it has to be in the context. I've looked at that in a little bit.
Well, Well, okay, hold on. So I wasn't quite done. But
I know.
so I wasn't quite done. But
I know.
So you're almost saying that you can take influence away from other people, which isn't true, comparing it to points, because they are both they're sacrosanct in a sense, because you can only affect your own with specific cards. But I think so yes, I agree that if you are above level 2 on every track and you buy this, you're not going to get anything from it. You'll get a bump on each track and no immediate benefit. However, those bumps are 4 extra actions you did not have to take in order to get up the track. And getting 4 extra actions is what you're actually paying for, even if you're not getting the 4 extra bonuses for those actions.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I quit for extra. It's almost like 4 extra intrigues. And you know what those intrigues are going to be, one of each of them. Because obviously action, you're also still getting the actual space benefit. But it's a very minor point.
4 extra intrigues, how do you mean?
Well, all the intrigues that give you a faction bump.
Oh yeah.
Intrigues that give you a faction bump.
Oh yeah, right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Might be slight.
Yeah.
Might be a slightly more accurate way of looking at it.
Yeah, but I mean, so yeah. That's the trade-off, right? Is like in those kinds of cards, you can hold them until the right moment, and then there's always that drama where, it's no longer useful, and people say, well, I might as well dump this now, and they just play it for fun. And you're like, ha ha ha, So you get those situations with this as well, but you also get those really high moments with those cards and this purchase, in that you'll have moments where you'll get 2 or 3 or even 4 points with one, like, fell swoop. You'll buy the Chom directorship and you'll get the 4 points, or it's whatever. If you're Tessia, you get the bonuses. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
If you're Tessia, you get the bonuses. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. Tessia, this card is unbelievable. There's no question.
Right, and then you get extra bumps on 2 of them. I mean, that's the amount of work that you can put into doing what this card does for just for buying it, is quite high. So that's how I think of it. Like, the amount of work you would have to put into just getting what it gives you is very high. So that's what I have to say about it. And there's only one card I ranked higher than this, but I mean, I still think it is one of the best in the game. I would still buy it if it's like out in the row and I can afford it. There's no time I would not take it, unless I'm late game and I wasn't going to have an immediate impact on alliances or bonuses or anything like that, or points. Then I would avoid it. Yeah, and then there are the obvious problems with it coming back through your deck. It's where, it gives you 3 Solari, big deal. I mean, that's usually kind of like it's almost like a drawback, because you're kind of like, okay, well, I have to reveal, so I'm not going to get to use the Solari this turn.
Yeah, but once you've bought... Yeah, once you've bought it, it's doing nothing.
It's doing nothing.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
Unless you have like dispatch and envoy, and then you could potentially use this to send someone. So at least you're doing some of it. Like, if you bought it, it's doing nothing.
It's doing
That's
nothing.
nothing.
It's doing nothing.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
You know, unless you have like dispatch an envoy, and then you could potentially use this, and you could potentially dispatch an envoy, and then you could potentially use this to send someone. So at least you're doing some of it. Like, fine, I guess, but
Sure.
that is the issue. You if you get the card early, you feel like you've got to try and ditch it somewhere. Some of it, like, fine, I guess, but
Sure. Sure.
that is the issue. You if you get the card early, you feel like you've got to try and ditch it somewhere because the free Solari it's not.
Talking about the free Solari in this card is like talking about a wart on a warty pig.
And it's like you got cards that do so many more on like agent reveal actions.
Big deal.
So, I mean, nothing can do worse on agent reveal agent actions than this card. So.
Sure.
This card. So.
Sure. I think the dispatch and envoy, I mentioned this before, but the dispatch and envoy argument is I want to kind of ignore that because
you're going to buy in the late game. In fact, this card
also on your list rated higher have the same problem. A little bit problematically, you can use it to trash itself with.
Wait, what did I do?
I want to kind of ignore that because it
I
makes
understand.
every
It's
single
a
card
very...
better.
Yeah, it makes every card better.
Argument is I want to kind of ignore that because
I
makes
understand.
every single
it's
card
very...
better.
Yeah.
Just,
I understand.
It's flat out makes every card better, and so I think that it does. The cool thing, you can use it to trash itself with selective breeding. That's fun. I mean, like.
Yeah, but I have done that once.
Once I finish these cards, I think I'm gonna call it for the night.
Yeah,
but that's fun. I mean, like.
Yeah,
but
I have done that once. That was. That once. That was pretty good.
So. So I agree that it can be a little bit problematic late game. It's not always the best time to buy Chum Directorship. 100% hear you there. But a lot of the other cards that I see also on your list rated higher have the same problem. Like,
I mean, almost. I mean. Almost any. I mean, almost any card has that problem.
Yeah.
Like, there are very few cards you're going to buy in the late game. In fact, this card arguably has some of the biggest impact.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the argument that Black Shadow made is valid, which is often if you can buy this, you can probably buy a Spice Must Flow, which in the very late game may be more important. Although you never know, because you might be at one influence with a couple of on a couple of
Yeah,
tracks.
it's situational. You know, if you've got Holtzman engine, you might feel more tempted to go for the spice because obviously you want to get.
Also,
I mean, almost the argument that a spice must flow, which in the very late game may be more important. Although you never know, because you might be at one influence with a couple of on a couple of
Yeah,
tracks.
yeah, it's situational. You know, if you've got Holtzman engine, you might feel more tempted to go for the spice because obviously you want to get that plans within corner market. But obviously you've got plans within plans. This is the pick. It's dependent on kind of what you're trying to do, obviously.
yeah.
Want to get that plans within corner market. But obviously you've got plans within plans. This is the pick. It's dependent on kind of what you're trying to do, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think
Obviously.
yeah, but I think early game this card does have the upside of being able to be revealed for the 3-star, which can help you get your either your High Council or your Swordmaster faster.
Whichever one you didn't take, yeah.
Your either your High Council or your Swordmaster faster.
Whichever one you didn't take, yeah.
Yeah. But I think the thing, yeah, Master faster.
Whichever one you didn't take, yeah.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the thing with Chome directorship for me is that usually you're getting it in, the first 3, 4, in round 3 or 4. Sometimes a little later, but often it's been sitting there and nobody can afford it yet, and you organize your turn to get it. And what's really important to me is not only is that you accomplish moving up all those rows all at the same time, that can really help a lot of characters. It can put some already faction track oriented characters over the top, like Baron or Tessia, or Lido. But what it really does for me is it frees you up often to then focus your other actions in the game less on the tracks and more on gearing up for combat.
Mm-hmm.
Other actions in the game less on the tracks and more on gearing up for combat. And I think that's the real combat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the real power of Chome directorship, is that it frees up. I mean, sure, it can also just be contributing to like a 3 alliance game or something like that. But generally what it does facilitates is, okay, I'm going to have the points easy on each track. I'm going to get 1, maybe 2 alliances, probably 1 that's kind of average in a game. But that's going to be much easier. So therefore I'm going to be able to focus on all the other things in order to build towards the end game and win the conflicts. And that's what I think is really super powered about Chome directorship.
I would not do it again. I see why people use the tier list video style. So we were initially set up to do this with just like a free rail, like just talking about these things and having the focus be on the actual rankings, like this information. But as we were doing it, like there were a couple things that were wrong on it that I had to fix. Just a couple things were in the wrong places, and so some of the numbers were wrong. So as we were recording it, I had to do a little editing, and then I decided to add this kind of like facade on top of it. And though I think it looks good, and I'm glad that I did it, it's definitely something that would have been easier to do if I had my previous job situation where I wasn't working full time. First of all, so I had a lot more time. I had like full days where I wasn't working because I was working 2 part-time jobs, but they were alternating in kind of a weird way. Sometimes they overlapped days, but it was just it was what it was. It was my weird couple of years of life. And so I had some time to edit. I'd have like a whole day from like noon till evening to do editing and grade papers or whatever. So, I mean, it wasn't an awful idea. It just frustrating because I definitely wanted to get this done sooner than I have. So.
Yep.
But I think I'd probably do. Yeah, I mean, it's nice. People like these kinds of things that they take a lot of editing, but the one thing I will not do again is put speech bubbles on people. That was like a huge mistake. Don't do that. I've even made it easier by having it not animated, but all of my other ones, like if you go through video 1, 2, maybe even 3, they're all animated. And it took forever to do that. Not only that, but because I was animating it through HitFilm Express, it slowed my computer down because it like multiplied the number of assets that I was actually displaying at any given time or alternating between by like 50. So it caused my computer to go really slow. And so as I was editing like videos 1 and 2, I think, and maybe 3, you probably wouldn't know this because it was on my end, but every time I changed something, it had to think. It was that bad. And so at some point when I had too many things in the editor, it would take its time to think. And so I had to like figure out a way to quickly batch things, and it was such a nightmare. I didn't want to think about it anymore. But yeah, I stopped doing that. So now it works fine because I'm not doing it that way. So that's what I'd say.
That can really help a lot of characters. It can put some already faction track oriented characters over the top, like Baron or Tessia or Leto, on the trap combat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
I think we move on to our web of power
Should
now.
we move to our next tide?
Yes, thank God. Okay, I'm getting tired here.
To our next tide. Should we move to our next?
I dropped the commitment to it even if the first video was done that way. I know, absolutely agree. I had a kind of feeling that I'd started on one path, and that if I didn't keep with the same quality of it, that it wouldn't be a good look for me. So I wanted to do it.
While I have any,
I like the way you do them with kind of I like the PowerPoint presentation style ones. I mean, PowerPoint's a very powerful program, and then obviously I revere Orski's editing. He's got he does a lot of like beat editing actually, where he like cuts things to beat to the beat or the tenor of what he's saying. He does a very good job with that.
People actually willing to listen to anything I say
No,
anymore.
should we move to our next tide?
While I have any.
I think Black Shadow felt a little bit bad after this.
While I have any shred of like people actually willing to listen to anything I say anymore.
No, that's not true. No. No, that's not true. That's not true.
Oh, no, 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 no.
No, that's not true. True. That's not true.
Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no.
True. That's not true.
Oh, no, no, no.
Favorite games, just in general? Yeah, I have lots of favorite games. Let me get started on favorite games. My favorite game of all time is Brass Lancashire. I've got both Lancashire and Birmingham, but Lancashire's the one I owned first. So when I learned it on, I think both of them are basically the same game, like a different map. That's my number one favorite game of all time. If anyone ever said, let's play some Brass, I'd be like, yeah, let's play some Brass. No, I would never turn it down. It's absolutely my favorite game. I love it. It's so fun. The strategy is deep and the table talk can be high. Let's see. Big Dune, the big one, the 6-player negotiation combat game. That's my number 2 favorite game of all time. I think I've done this before. I think I've said this before. I might have mixed one or two up. Sometimes on any given day, like Dune will be my number 1. Number 3 is Raw by Reiner Knizia. It's my favorite bidding game. Number 4, I think, is Dune Imperium, and number 5 is what was my number 5? Oh, it's somewhere in here. Oh, I can't remember. I'm usually pretty good about this, but I can't remember right now. I'm pretty tired. Oh, of course. Yeah. Great Western Trail is number 5. My number 5. And then like it just, I've got others in there. Right now, Mosaic is like my number 1 played game. I've been trying to get Horseless Carriage played. Gonna play it this weekend. I just played a bunch of new games this week. Not new, but new to me. One's called Show Manager. One was called The Estates. I'd played that before, actually. That wasn't the first time I played it. Estates is amazing bidding game. Very, very mean. I love that game. And then the third one I played was Vampire Vendetta. Which, if you've not played Vampire Vendetta, some of the Dune crew used to play it a lot prior to TTS giving us our own group. And so that's a really good game. It's a kind of a bidding, area control, procedural, like tactical game. But it's quick. It's like 30 to 40 minutes, and it's fun.
Oh, no. It's a valid argument. I think it's a big cost card, and what you've said.
There you go.
You've said some important things about it.
Yeah. Just be aware that when you're buying this card, you should buy it for a reason, not just because it's 8 cost. I think that's
don't just buy.
Don't just buy it because it's 8 cost. Wise words from CJ.
Yeah, just
important things about it.
Yeah. Just be aware that when you're buying this card, you should.
And what you've said you've said some important things about it.
Yeah. Just be aware that when you're buying this card, you should buy it for a reason, not just because it's 8 cost. I think that's.
I actually have more people watching right now. That's cool.
Just buy it because.
Well, I am almost done. So I think, honestly, let's see. I'm pretty close to the end. I'm gonna get to the start of Web of Power, and then I'm gonna call it for the night, because which is just here.
To, like, kind of
I'm just really.
The other thing I
here.
think we're talking, obviously, like, say if you're running in the.
It's a little late for me.
I think that's a.
Other great games I highly recommend. If you like Dune, let's see. So there's like 2 games that Dune is borrowing from, 2 major games it's borrowing from. One is Agricola, with the spaces that accumulate, the accumulating of spice that's taken from Agricola. The worker placements taken from Agricola, though not with the cards, obviously. And the other game that it takes from is Arctic Scavengers, which is a deck building, like a pure deck building game where you draw 5 cards, do the things, dump your hand. But the trick is you don't have to play all your cards, you can hold them. And then at the end of the round, the cards you have in your hand, which may or may not have power on them, just like the swords in Dune, everyone reveals them, and the person with the most power wins a prize. There's like a first and second prize. There might not be a second prize. I think there's a second prize. And in that's where they took, I'm almost 100% sure that they took that mechanism from Arctic Scavengers and Dune Imperium, and they made it work a lot better. But if you do like deck builders, try Arctic Scavengers. It's a good game. It's not as robust as Dune Imperium. Like you definitely feel like certain turn order things affect the combat much more directly. Like if you go last, I think you have more chance of just like winning that combat always. But it is what it is. It's a fun game. I do like it.
Kind of makes sense there. The other thing I think was obviously, like, say if you're running in the shadows, for example, not in the shadows, spy satellites, I think should definitely be mentioned here as well. This kind of weirdly
I'm not going to put spy satellites up there
as like an unexpected pick.
Wait, how is spy satellites synergizing? Oh, because it can get you the extra point, I guess.
Like later on, if you end up with high persuasion, and then this just kind of turns up because of course the people forget a lot with spy satellites. Obviously, you're getting the influence points with factions without ever going there. But of course, if you get too influence of all the factions, you can trash it for.
That's a really good point. So, I have a lot of heavy games. Cheesable, lot of heavy games. I really do like them. I can't table them very much. My partner doesn't play with me. She doesn't really like games all that much. So what ends up happening is I have my weekly game night. And so we'll bring some games. Maybe we'll get tabled, maybe not. Everyone has so many games, it's hard to know which ones are going to get tabled. But I have a collection that complements theirs. So we bring stuff when we're in the mood. I actually don't get Dune Imperium tabled that much anymore at all. Only online because my group, just sort of like I mentioned this also in a previous episode, have moved away who played Dune Imperium with us. So I don't get to table it very much. But generally I've been playing a lot of like 45-minute to 120-minute games, 130-minute games that are just a little bit more... they're not casual, I wouldn't say, but they're lighter fare, like medium weight games. I did end up getting like a couple of games of Underwater Cities played recently. That game is so good, and I love it, and I've played it maybe like 10 or 12 times now. But getting like 2 plays, like twice in 1 week was really awesome because then we got to like experiment with different strategies. It wasn't just picking up the game again after a couple of years and remembering what happened. It's like, okay, we'll do that, and then we'll like, now let's try something else. That was a lot of fun. That game is so good. So yeah, I used to have a couple of go-to games that I would table regularly, but I still think that there are very good games that I don't get tabled. Like, I don't know, Barrage. I love Barrage. It's it's in my top 10 favorite games, but I can't get it tabled. My group doesn't like it. 2 people in my group like it, and we rarely get 4 of us and all of them who like it in the group. So, yeah.
3 spies, which is obviously you're not getting spy satellites. You're not paying a total of 7 spies to trash it for a point. You should not be doing that. That is unbelievably expensive. But
maybe I should put it up there. Where are spy satellites? Here it is.
It can synergize with this. This kind of weirdly can shows spy satellites.
Let's put it right there.
Satellites, like Guild Ambassador, and you can trash it whenever you want, as long as you feel the putting kind of weird pressure, and you can trash it whenever you want, as long as you fulfill the conditions.
So what games do you get tabled a lot, Cheeseable? What are some of the go-to games for you besides maybe Dune Imperium?
Director Stick can play very weirdly in line with Spy Satellites, even though the two on paper are like diametrically opposed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that is.
What was that? Some old stuff.
Diametrically opposed.
Yeah,
But I thought brass actually gets tabled quite a lot for some reason in my group.
I agree with that. I think that is one of the more interesting and also difficult choices I've run into, is whether you commit to going up tracks or you abandon that and you buy Spy Satellites and try to play that kind of that faction starved game. I find both of them really interesting. I don't particularly like Spy Satellites as tech, but that's just me. I think
Spy Satellites is one of those techs we could literally. Spy Satellites is one of those techs we could literally have its own discussion podcast.
Yeah,
Coming
we
to you
will.
soon.
Funny. And then we made a podcast called Spy
Literally
Satellites.
have its own discussion podcast.
Yeah,
Coming
we
to you
will.
soon. Coming to you
will.
soon.
Village Pillage. Huh. It's not that old. Okay, so it's a card game. It's got some suits, some points or things. Fantasy Realms. I also play Fantasy Realms. I like Fantasy Realms a lot. Actually, I work at childcare and I introduced it to the kids there and they love it. So yeah, big fan of Fantasy Realms.
But anyway, yeah, I agree. It does have some weird synergies that are not always easy to reconcile when you're playing the game.
Probably the game I have tabled the most of any game here is either Skull or Biblios. Oh, okay, cool. So it's easy to explain to people who may or may not be gamers, right? So it's easier to go like, oh, here's you know what rock paper scissors is, and so you can kind of like get it. Yeah, that's cool.
All right, Web of Power.
Okay, Web of Power. We're at Web of Power. Thank God. All right, well, we're close, and a lot of this is going to be dead time. It's going to be stuff that we're just chatting about stuff at the end. So I'm going to call it here because I need to go to sleep. I need to wake up early tomorrow, and I do appreciate those of you who came and chatted with me, for chatting with me, So I will see you next week. Next week is Dune After Dark on Wednesday at 8:30 here. And this Friday is Conley. We will have a brand new set of rules that should make the game extremely entertaining. And you don't want to miss that. But I will see you all on the next one.